Hello, welcome to Lil's Vintage World. This video is a book review of Stories for Summer and Days by the Pool by, well, various different authors, as this is a short story collection that has been published by the British Library as part of the British Library Women Writers series. That's always such a mouthful. I very kindly received this copy for review, so thank you to the British Library for very kindly sending this to me. I started reading this book as soon as it arrived, which is quite unusual for me because I'm not really a short story person. However, the British Library in particular has done something to me in which I've started to actually really kind of get excited to read short stories, and I've really started implementing reading them more often in my day-to-day reading. And in particular with this one, I got into a really lovely routine. So we are currently, hopefully, I mean, my core temperature currently feels hotter than the sun itself. But hopefully we are coming out of the end of a heat wave. And I'm feeling hot. Okay, I'm really warm. But as you know, I have puppy. And so my mornings start by getting up a little bit earlier to walk Pup because, you know, the heat isn't good on a puppy pads. So in case you didn't know, if you have dogs, you should always walk them first thing in the morning, last thing at night, while it is the coolest time to do it. So I do that quite early. Then I get my breakfast and I get myself have that, and then I get a glass of orange juice and I get some strawberries, and I sit in the garden on my swingy seat with this book and I just spend time reading. I might read one story if it's a longer one, 2 or 3 if it's shorter. I mean, there's such varied lengths in here. I mean, for instance, the first one is literally just a few pages, but then you'll get ones like Black Cat for Luck by G.B. Stern. That's quite a big one. The Pool by Daphne du Maurier. What a fab title. That is quite a big one as well. Indifferent Light by Elizabeth Taylor. That was quite a long one. So you get ones that are longer than others, so to speak. So depending on the length of the story, I would sit on my swingy seat with my orange juice and my fresh strawberries, and I would just listen to the birds. I would feel the heat of the sun, the morning sun, and then as it was getting kind of too hot for me, I would come inside. And this morning I did my last kind of part of my routine, I guess, because I finished it. And usually for me, I like books to kind of settle in my mind before I kind of talk to you about them. But for this book, I was just like, no, I just need to come on here. I think because I had such a wonderful reading experience reading it, I think it makes it a bit different. Like, this book is short story collections. They're all really different. Some I preferred more than others because that's completely natural with different authors. But I have to say, all of these short stories were so atmospheric. Like, I was in my garden and I was like, maybe I can smell some sea air. And I was getting really like into the feeling of like the atmosphere of these kind of summery stories, and I just really loved it. It was such a wonderful experience reading it in the garden, in the sunshine. And I really wanted to kind of get on here and talk to you about it because I think this book is perfect for summertime. Whether you are going to go on holiday, whether you know someone has a birthday in the summer, or whether you just want something this summer to read. Perhaps you're getting a bit like me, and in between your usual reading of your novels and your non-fiction, you want to pick up a short story or two. And I have to say, I really enjoyed my reading experience. There are a few that I really have to talk to you about, and for me were really stand out. The first one is Carnation by Catherine Mansfield, which actually, funny enough, is the very first short story. And it is very short. It's literally a handful of pages. But the British Library has done this thing to me, right? So Catherine Mansfield, I have a collection of her short stories over here. I've had it for absolute years and I've never touched it, but whenever I pick up the British Library short stories, but quite often she's in there, and they're often my favourite ones, or one of my favourite short stories in the collection. And so I keep thinking, oh, I really need to pick these up. Now, after this one, I really, really need to pick up her actual collection, which I think after I film this video, I think I'm actually going to grab it out because, yeah, it was just so good. Anyway, so this story is called Carnation, Katherine Mansfield, and it starts by talking about flowers, and in particular it starts talking about roses. But then we go on to talk about carnations, and in my garden I have lots of different flowers, including carnations, but my favourite flower is a rose, and I have a favourite rose in particular, which my brother bought me for my birthday a few years ago. It does so well. And the colour is just beautiful. And the colour that Katherine Mansfield describes in this book is that colour of my rose. And I have to read it to you because it's just, yeah. A deep, deep red one that looked as though it had been dipped in wine and left in the dark to dry. Oh, isn't that just beautiful, beautiful writing? And yeah, I just love that. It's very flower themed, that short story. But there is another one which I, again, want to share with you that I loved. And this is an author that I've never heard of before, I don't think. I don't think I've ever heard of her. I don't think I've ever read her before, but it was called In and Out of Never Never Land. It's by Maeve Brennan. And this is why I needed to share it with you, because I thought it made me giggle and I thought it might make you giggle. Mary Ann Whitty looked into the brown eyes of her dog Bluebell, and she thought, the dog is kind and good, but the cats have style. Now, I am not a cat person, I am a dog person, but I just really thought that was wonderful and humorous writing. And I do think some cats do certainly have style. Bluebell, if anybody is a dog lover, does feature in this short story quite a bit, actually. I'd say she's one of the main characters, actually. But yes, I have been quite intrigued now by Maeve Brennan and quite like to read more. I think what I need to do after I've read this, because this book has made me ever so excited, you can't tell, I think I need to write a little list of authors that I want to read more of, thank you to this collection, including Maeve Brennan. Another author, I have read one of hers before. She was in a previous short story collection by the British Library, and that was Afternoon Summer by Sylvia Townsend Warner. I really enjoyed this short story as well, so want to read more by her. But yes, what can I say? I just really enjoyed it, and perfect book for this time of year, perfect book to read in between your reading, or if you're going on holiday and you're like, what book shall I take on holiday? In particular, if you're going somewhere where it's going to be heat, or perhaps the opposite, if you're going somewhere cold, but you're like, oh no, I'm a bit worried about the cold, read this. This would be perfect by the pool or the seaside, or actually just doing what I did, being at home, sitting on my swingy seat in the garden, fresh glass of orange juice, bowl of strawberries, perfect. So that is my review for Stories for Summer and Days by the Pool. Thank you again to the British Library. Before you go, remember, if you like these short stories, they do also do Stories for Winter and Nights by the Fire, and Stories for Christmas and the festive season as part of the British Library Women Writers Series 2. Ta-da! And don't they all look beautiful together? Yes, they're always so beautiful. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments section below if you have read this yet, or have you read any other of these short story collections from the British Library. I'd be rather intrigued to know. I will leave a link in the description box to go to the British Library shop, so you can go and shop the books if you want to. Yeah, talk to me in the comments, all things Women Writers series, and I shall see you soon for my next video. Bye for now.